I would really like you to. That's what I meant to say, of course. All right, let me turn the screen on and let's get cracking. But I got a lot of work done, and I'll get some more done today. And it's very cool, and it's so much easier to move around and grab things that you need or want to do. And I'm finding ways that it's actually going to be better, not just better and easier to onboard, but it's going to be better and easier for all of us inside of it. I think so. How late? I'm not sure. I would only need it. What I would need is if I invite you in, I would need you to just say yes on Monday. I'll be able to get on there and then send you feedback so that I could make the adjustments Tuesday and invite the next group Wednesday. And then they would give me feedback, and then I would have what I need to have a big wave of work over the weekend. That's kind of what I'm thinking in this regard. So, good morning. Welcome to the Market Watch Group Weekly Market Prep. Here's the disclaimers. We're not brokers. We're not advisors. We don't give advice or recommendations. This is for education, illustrative purposes only. What are we going to do today? We are going to talk about market posture, obviously. Look at the economic calendar. I need to get that out of the slide. I'm now doing the searching on Tuesdays. If you're ever interested, you ever want to join in and search, I believe consumer discretionary is where I feel like there's some good momentum. We've got Tesla and Amazon smashing forward through earnings like beasts. So we should expect that sector to have some carry and make sure that we have a nice range of stocks. That's my thought. So that's where we'll be on Tuesday doing some searching. But maybe today as we evaluate sector rotation, something else will show up. I don't know. Watch list maintenance. Again, we're cleaning on Sundays and then we're adding on Tuesdays. One of the things that I'm still trying to figure out the best way, we have 2 live documents that I would like to keep better organized. Number 1 is the live watch list. Number 2 is the archive of the market posture, so that at any given time when someone comes in, they could grab the history of our group and they could just join in, right? They're just joining the history. I would say, and I would think most of you would hopefully attest that score is a pretty good composite of the collective group. And so it gives someone a representation so that they could go back and in their own trading be like, I wonder what this posture looked like back in this area when I struggled. So they could be like, oh my God, like it went negative. I would have totally taken less risk. I would have done things different, right? And you can kind of make some connections earlier in your trading as to how important market conditions are to what we're doing. So I want to make sure that those are accessible. I'm trying to figure out that. By the way, the time for the meeting today did not change. Oh, well, Discord, continuing to show your flaws. So yours did not automatically update to your time zone to adjust to ours. That's bad, Discord. That's because it's not on DST? Oh. What's it on? Can you make it be on DST? I didn't know. All right, let's get into it. Let's go posture. I've got too many things open. Let me get rid of that. Let me get rid of that. And that and that. Okay. Here we are. Today should be interesting. Why? Because I'm pretty sure that is that for me, Miguel? I'll have to look at that later if it is. I don't know why my Sandy. Okay. I don't know why my Thinkorswim is sluggish. And let's get to there. Got it. All right. Okay, first things first. And Nick M, being new to the group, I would love if you wanted to be also part of the transition to the circle, because all of the, like right now when we go through these components, we have videos that walk through it, but you've got to go find a document and then you've got to go find the links. And whereas now in the new one, there's just a little course. It's just like, hey, you want to watch the 6 videos that correspond? You can just grab it real fast. It's so quick and easy. It's all inside. So I would love to have your perspective. Let me know if you're interested. Meanwhile, long-term trend. This on Friday was where I had identified pending weakness. Awesome. Here is our green, and this is not like, oh my gosh, we've broken this, what are we going to do? We broke it here, and then we got back into it. When we broke it this time, we actually didn't score it down the first week. We said, if it gets back in this next week, we're going to just leave it. And we did. That's exactly what happened. It just was like right back in. It could still do the same thing this time, without a doubt. I think that. However, I am scoring it down this time because this is only looking at the bottom. What we've been doing is looking at the tops and saying, got to the top, got close to the top. This was just fighting to recover, but this one didn't get anywhere near. We can't look at this trend if we're not getting anywhere near the top of the trend anymore. So I said, the next time it breaks, now I'm not going to do it if it breaks the red line. The red line is the new score. So if it comes down underneath and gets into this area, I'm fine with it. We could get to 550 here, and my long-term score is not going to change again. We could get down to 535. That's the last low in the long term. Anything above that is a higher low and will help establish a new uptrend. So that's just making a organic adjustment. That's not a, oh God, it's so weak. It's just been building that way where it's saying it's not as strong as we thought from the long term for now. Sandy agrees. Bob looks like he kept his still. He's going to leave it a little longer. Fair enough. I mean, I understand that. Let me know where you're at with your scores. Let's go take a look at the short term. Now, this is, Steven kept his too. Greg agrees with me and went down. Love it. Nice. Good. Helps us to see all perspectives when we have some, different perspectives. Short term. So with the long term down, you must be thinking, hey, if it was big enough to move the long term score down, it has to be big enough to move the short term down. And that's where I think it's an interesting process, because for me, that's not necessarily the case. And in fact, here, so anytime I'm in an uptrend, a good uptrend, and a potential flag sets up and then turns, we traded, right? I put trades on. I'm sure some of you put trades on. May still have some on. But this signal did not hold. But to me, that doesn't mean we broke this low. That wasn't really an established low. That was a potential flag that never materialized. So this is all one consolidation. And some people say, well, the stochastics turned. It did. The stochastics is a very, very minor piece that just helps provide consistency. What I'm going to orient myself to is the last core functional trough or low, which was here. Here we had a flag that broke and worked. This signal here and this signal here were exactly the same. This one worked. If you had been like, oh, I don't know, if it's not good, it's not a good enough consolidation. you would have missed this whole signal, right? You had to be willing to trade a flaggish, right, which is a little more fast, a little quick, got to be ready. But if it didn't, if it had kept coming on down to here, would we have still been bullish? Yes, absolutely, because that was the last low there, and that would have been higher. So that was a pretty strong one. We made a nice move. It looked like it could try to get another flag, and it's like, yeah, this market looked pretty good. It didn't. It didn't. On short term, should we be using 6-month daily? Yes, 100%. 100%. Not the weekly. It crams it too much. We want to see the day-to-days. Although I would be interested to see how much that changes your score if you've been doing it consistently, I would be interested. But yeah, I would definitely say 6-month daily. So bottom line for me is we hit the 50. And if you remember on Thursday, I said, what helps me score is going to probably be the Friday. Is it another down day? If it's another down day, I probably would have. A doji day would have been a harder one where it's like, what do we do? But it's still right at the 50-day moving average. But we didn't. We had a harami day, a bullish harami. And it was a bullish harami where the buyers tested. They're like, hey, we're ready to come right back in. It didn't materialize, but that doesn't mean they failed. That means they're just like, they're just, testing the defenses here, right? Like, let's tap it. Let's see where we want to make our surge. Not like, we tried so hard and we failed. In fact, I didn't even realize this. Well, we'll get to that. What is my score going to be? I don't have enough. I think that if this were to then turn into a bullish day, Monday, Tuesday, and bounce out of this is still technically a higher low, and it's going to help me understand what the next trend is. I'm leaving my short-term score alone. So I'm leaving it at 175. I didn't see enough for it to break down. Nothing changed for me. Weigh in. Where are you at on yours? Did you lower yours this week? Are you higher or lower than me? The other thing I'm looking at with the concept of a living document is a weekly market posture composite, where I think what I could do is have everybody on Sundays go in and just put their score in, and then I could update the document, put the average, and then people could see that. I'm playing around with that because there seemed to be some interest around that idea of a composite score. And at least for the time being, I could probably do it. I'm not sure, like, if we keep having more and more people, there's got to be a better way. We'll see. You know what I could actually do? I'm going to do it as a poll. I can do polls. That's what I'm going to do. Nope. I'm going to do a poll every week. I can have everyone just go in, put their answer. It'll compile it for me. And then I can just like copy and paste it into a comma separated value, CSVs. I couldn't think what that was called. And then boom. Anyways, yes. Okay. See it coming together? That's how my mind works, is ADD. The only way ideas come is at the wrong time. Just ask my wife. She's like, really? That's what you were thinking about? I'm like, I don't know. It's not on purpose. Bullish inside day, but let's go now to, so I'm leaving mine alone. Let's go down to volume. This one could be interesting. Because I didn't think we'd end up with above average volume. But we got it. Well, I got to move this down. So you can see it. I'm going to move this down. Activate this so you can see it. Okay. Now what? Now we have, so how much did we go up? 1 click. 0.5%, that's enough. I'm giving it to him. So I'm going to move this. Oops. Come on. Activate. Okay, so I'm going to mark this as above average because we had 45 million versus 41 average, so we were about 10%. And I'm going to duplicate this text note, but I'm going to change that to B. Buyers. Okay. Miguel, what a great contribution. What a great contribution, Miguel. Let's all stop and give him a round of applause for that. It's so fast now, and it makes a lot of sense, I think, once you see it. So I've got, I've already gotten scolded for having too much on my price chart. I don't want more on my price chart, Steven. I see what you've got, but I just, I have to be careful that I don't put things up there around my candles and around my lines, and I already have. So I like it down just sitting on my volume panel where it's just like, okay, what do we've got? Now we've got sellers, tie, sellers, buyers. That's not a great record, right? 1, 1, and 3. Oh, nice with the ratio. Okay, I like that. So 1, 1, and 3 though. With those buyers coming in, yeah, I'm gonna leave it still at minus 0.25. I was like, do I think about moving it to a 0? Is it close to a tie? But I feel like that might be just a little premature. Seller, tie, seller, buyer. Those two just sort of washed. So we're back to sellers, and ties. If I had one more buy day, I'd go to a tie. But the tie wasn't enough. One more buy day would have done it, but we didn't have it. I thought maybe it could have as we were talking about it, especially when that showed up. But no, I'm leaving mine alone. Looks like Sandy stayed the same. Looks like Steven stayed the same. Okay, so that's the one knock still is minus volume. But when you look at your sanity check, you know, we're on a slight uptick. So the sellers came back in, but they didn't even bring it all the way back, at least from this period. But I'll tell you what. Over this next week, look what happens. When we get to here, this week, we're going to need to see the buyers. Let me show you what I mean. This is what we're looking at the end of next week. So depending on, can this thing get back up into the 580, 582 area and maintain sideways? And then can we, and again, this isn't our short-term trend score. This is just like our sanity check. But as I think about it, I don't know. This will be interesting. Things may start to move after the election. Things will get volatile. I'm expecting volatility. I got to tell you that this little breakdown here coming into this week may be just a little blessing in disguise. Tuesday is election day, Sandy. But expecting it to be over is where I think Tuesday is when, you know, pardon my French, the shit show begins. Because I don't see any scenario where there's not just from either side, legal challenges. And I mean, I think it's going to be a nightmare. And the market does not respond well to things like that, right? The market's like, oh, what? And so, I feel, and tell me how you guys think and what you're going into it as. Let's just pause for a second. This is a nice little quote unquote sanity check. I'm light. I'm light. Got a little bit on. I've got a little hedge even. I'm balanced. I'm light. I don't feel, even if I'm bullish, just having the score pull back and the election this week, I feel great going in, pretty unencumbered by risk. So I don't feel. Tell me how you like. Are you loaded? Are you committed? Are you fluid? How would you describe? I see, and that's the thing is I don't know about puts either. I think it could shoot down but come right back up, where it's like you're gonna have a hard time. Like you'd have to be Johnny on the spot. There could be some potential for it, for sure. I think it would have to be day trading. That's how fast it'll be. Like I don't think swing trading puts would work. I could be wrong. I think it would have to be like position, like where you're at least like maybe thinking hours overnight, possibly, but not like a swing. This will be interesting. I'm glad we're gonna be talking about it together. The last thing I would want to do is be trading into this by myself, just trading like what the F is going on, you know. So it's good to just be like, hey, let's kind of get a sense. How does the market seem to be handling this? What do our normal signals tell us is happening? Put on some long-term put trades through December, great premiums. You sold some puts, sold some naked puts, willing to enter positions. I think that's a great idea. If you maintain bullishness and there's some inflated premiums like we have, yes, that's a phenomenal great way to capture some premiums with stocks where you say, hey, I'm willing to buy this thing at this lower price if it happened to come down. Yeah? Schmata. Okay, let's go. Volume stays the same. Let's get to the second half of the analysis. Where were we? Markets brace for election. What to know this week? Hell yes. I don't love to see this. Mortgage rates below 6, not anytime soon. I'm really hoping. I need everyone to get their fingers crossed with me. Just by like April, May, June. I would even take possibly even July, but something. Just get me to like 5%. That would be magical. Anyways. There's my ADD again. That's what we need to know this week. Let's go to major market. And come on. Running slow. Silver ball rich hats. I saw those. Last time they got a 1 ounce little one, just like in a little like advent calendar, and they were little Christmas prints. It was pretty cool. They don't do it with the 5 ounce ones. Okay. Are we all the way over? Here we go. Major market. Who's at the top? NASDAQ and the S&P, which that's when the S&P's there, that's fine. That's acceptable. Then we have in third place the Russell, and in the lagging position the Dow. Everything's moving up. You can see it's all positive, anywhere from 11 to 19% over this 9-month period, which is very close to year to date. So it's been a good year, and you can see that it is set up in a bullish positioning. Okay, now what? Now we drop to 133 and we move our 0 point 3 months and we say, now what? Same thing. Strongly at the top is the NASDAQ, up 17 from this period. The broad market in the middle position, as we would expect, around 13 and a half. This says 15, but okay. Then we have, am I all the way over? Let's just make sure. Then we have the Russell in third, and lagging is the Dow. Again, this is exactly what we would expect for a growth market. What's the one consideration that might change? If the Russell moves ahead of the S&P into a leading position, that's full bullishness. That's what gets us to a 1, right? Having the NASDAQ there gets us to a half. Like, yeah, it's fully in charge and doing well. It could get shook around a little bit maybe when we get to the 66 day, but this looks great so far, right? And then we get down to 66 days. And what do we have? Now we have a little bit of a shakeup where instead of the Dow in last, we have the Dow here and we have the Russell here. Does that mean we're like, oh man, look how defensive the Dow is looking? No, not at all. Right? And there you have the Russell. This shows us still a bullish score. I'm still thinking a 0.5, but I'm not seeing where I'm like, oh man, look at the Russell. I think the Russell's the small caps are looking bullish. But then we get down here, and now we are seeing that. This is a preview. This isn't going to influence my score unless I was uncertain at 66 days. But now I do see the Russell. I'm like, okay, the Russell's trying. I don't see defensiveness from the Dow. This is a solid half of a point, just like we thought. That's where I am. No change. It's been this way for a while, a good while. Sector rotation. Remember, sector rotation just last week moved to a half of a point for the first time. So let's see if it holds. Does it build and give us another quarter of a point? I don't know. Let's go see. So far, we're only down a quarter of a point on the score. You can see that, remember October, we all knew October was coming. We knew what October tends to be. Our October score went from a 5.5 to a 4.75. What's it going to be as we move in? So it dropped 0.75. It definitely showed that October wasn't great. And yet the other day I said, hey, who had a positive October? And like everyone said yes. Okay, well done. Way to make the most of the market, right? Let's go to sectors. Where are you, sectors? There you are. Okay, sectors. The strangeness we have in sectors with utilities at the top. And yet we really don't see that as defensive. We've come to a consensus conclusion that we're giving that the grace of the growth mindset built around utilities. Electricity is what I meant to think, but utilities as a growth mindset right now, based on the need for electricity to power two of what we would consider the growth. I don't know if you would say industries necessarily. They're not necessarily an industry, but they're pervasive, and that is crypto, right? All cryptocurrencies require vast amounts of electricity to power the servers and the transfer and the storage and the processing, and then we have AI, right? We have all these. Think about that. I was thinking about it as I was playing with ChatGPT. That is the accumulation of all human knowledge and intelligence at your fingertips. Right? Like you can, I could be like, I found a tomato seed. What's the best way for me to plant this? And it would tell me. And I could say, you know what? Do it in Italian. And it would translate it to Italian. It's just insane, right? The capacity. You should, you should have ChatGPT app on your phone and make sure you are able to tap into the world's knowledge at any instant and have it presented to you in report format. Okay. Let's move down. Let's just kind of move to what's normal. Financials at the top, industrials at the top, communication services at the top. That's way better than Google. It's really all it is Google, but it compiles it into a more usable fashion, right? It's like you don't have to process it, find the site, go in. It does all of it for you. Oh, it's amazing. Plan a trip with ChatGPT. It'll blow your mind what you can do. So efficient. It's amazing. What's next? Industrial's already there. We come down and there's the mix. We know that technology got, scrambled a little bit in this last correction. So we're not surprised by that. Let's go to the 133. On the 133, we still see utilities, but it's pulling back now. Oops. Whoa. Sorry. Let me get this back where it should be. Come on. Hold on. It's a little sluggish. Where was I? 133? 133. We've got communication services at the top. We've got technology back at the top. We've got discretionary. We've got financials, industrial. So it's basically everything growth plus utilities. When you look at, again. Sorry, I'm going to change platforms real quickly. I need to do another update, apparently. Okay. I actually think it's the stock chart site. Let's go down to 66 days now. On 66 days, what do we have? We have look at the top. Discretionary. That was Tesla and Amazon leading them back in the charge, right? We've got technology, we've got utilities coming down, communication services is in there, financials is in there. It's basically all the growth up at the top, including discretionary. I'm actually going to give this another 0.25. We started bullish, and then this looks more bullish. Now, looking at this 66 days, you've got healthcare and energy down at the bottom. You've got materials and consumer staples towards the bottom. And you've got all the growth things at the top. All of a sudden, on our sector rotation, it's like the clouds parted and the sun is shining. Like 2 weeks in a row, I'm moving mine another 1/4 point. Let me know what you did with yours, because this looked quite strong. Yeah? Stephen and Bob are having a volume chat going on, you two? Making sure they get it knocked out. Sector rotation. We're on sector rotation, you guys. You're behind 2 steps. Sector rotation 0.75. Okay. So it comes down to the VIX. If the VIX were to improve, we would actually improve this week. I don't see that happening. I think we're going to go down. Let's go see. And then let's get to the watch list. Okay, VIX. Tell us about institutional sentiment, please. Interpretation of strength. With which one? One we just did? You mean with, yeah. Let me go back. I actually think I forgot to go to the 22-day too. So let me go back. So strength is in this case, what are your growth sectors, right? When the economy is doing well, what do we expect to do well? Well, we expect financials to do well because people are financing things. We expect industrials to do well because they're building things. We expect technology to do well because tech. We expect consumer discretionary because people are buying things. And we expect communication services because marketing dollars are being spent, right? Like all of this, what is our defensive? Our defensive sectors are usually utilities. That's the one that's been the outlier. Utilities, healthcare, and consumer staples. And you can see consumer staples are down here now. Basic materials are down here now. Energy's down here now. Healthcare is down here now. So all the things we need are down here. All the things we want are up here. And that's more of a growth type setup, right? When we see when we see utilities typically, or consumer discretionary, or both at the same time popping up, that's money shifting out of growth sectors and into defensive sectors where they're like, oh, they're right. And it tends to be short-term positioning. That's what we're looking for to position for weakness or at least defensiveness. Okay. And let's just go look at the 22-day. Who's got the most momentum? Financials. Who's got the next most momentum? Communication services. Bullish, right? Growth sector. Who else? Discretionary. Who else? Technology. And there's the market. So the four leaders are all growth. And who's down at the bottom? Utilities, healthcare, energy, right? I think the things that we need aren't moving. Does that help? Does that make sense? Hopefully that ties that together. Let's go look at the VIX. So did anything happen on the VIX? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we were here. And here we were thinking to ourselves, hey, we might get a lower high. Right? That was Monday. That was last week. That's where we were. And we said, hey, if it turns over, that's a lower high to this one. And we would score that positively. But it didn't do that. It almost did. And then it's like, nope. And it went back up. Where did it go back up to? To the old high. You can see this 23 level. That's kind of our resistance zone. If it breaks that, then yeah, that's a whole different ball of wax. Can of worms. Whole different something. But that hasn't happened, and it looks like it's turning down. I actually think good trades can be built out of this. The only thing preventing me from wanting to think about that is the election. If it weren't for the election, I probably would be more aggressively putting stuff on in this market. The election and the uncertainty and the volatility I expect, that's what's gonna have me hesitating here. From a scoring standpoint, it didn't do anything to create a score, right? It popped up to the old high, but not a higher high. It didn't have a higher anything. It was this was a higher low, and we already scored that. That was already scored. Back here. So nothing. So my long-term score dropped. My sector rotation score has risen. I'm a 4.75. Let me know where you're at. Let's get to the watch list now because we got to get cracking. Okay. I need a pen. I need to make a note of this. Otherwise, I got to just go back through it again. Apple, I don't know. That's a little too low for me at this point. Even though technology looks okay, Apple is now in consolidation, which means it needs to go up, come back down, and give me a higher low before I'm willing to jump into that. Aflac, same thing. It's in consolidation mode. I'll leave it on for a little while, though. Amazon looks strong, but unfortunately, it just had an enormous gap on earnings, and there's nothing we can do but kind of watch this thing now. APO, I would still be willing to trade APO if not for the fact that it's reporting earnings in 2 days, and we've seen how things have been responding to earnings. You can see how APO responded to earnings prior. APP, This one was close. That's a 11.6 aftermarket. What is that, Thursday? Wednesday. I'm gonna put it on my list, but I just don't think there's enough time. I like the way it looks. I definitely like the way it looks. AXP, yes, still. If you're still in AXP, I understand that, and that would be one that I would expect. Yeah, that makes sense to still carry something like that. BAC, a little more iffy. It's holding. It hasn't broke. BK, same kind of a thing. It tried. It's hiccuping. It's holding. I would still have it on my list. But it's, we'll see if it can come out. Financials still look strong enough. I think it could pop out of this just fine. I'm not worried about these that are just hiccuping a little bit. Caterpillar is in a consolidation. I wouldn't think about this one now. I'm not trying to call the low here. I'm waiting for it to break the consolidation, pull back, and then give me something a little better. CMG is kind of popping out of that earnings, but I don't know. You're kind of behind the 5% move at this point. Coherent consolidation earnings. Yeah, not a lot of things setting up. You can see some things have moved into consolidative positions. Fastenal, I still like. What did I do? I pared down and held some. Pared down some and held some. Pared less, held more. Let me know if you're in it. Let me know what you did. I still think it's a leader. Fizz. Fidelity National Information Services. This is, what would we put this as? What are these guys? Information technology? Financials. Okay, Fidelity National. I thought that they were okay. Financials. I like them. I don't know why I thought they were insurance or possibly like something else. I know there is some. Fidelity's such a common like. Okay, but I like it. Bitcoin's got some potential. GE Vernova is bullish. I'll put it in the industrials, but it's not setting up. I mean, I think it's strong. It's not really setting up for us right now. Gold is setting up for us, though. Basic in the materials, gold looks like it's setting up. Google definitely looks like it's. We like communication services. Google's a leader. Good earnings, pulling back now. Dust is settling. Goldman still looks strong in the financial sector. I said we need to find more in the consumer discretionary, and we have Home Depot. I'm going to put Amazon on the list, but it's just not viable yet. We have Home Depot on the list, but I think it needs to do a breakout of this consolidation line and then pull back, and then we have something, right? Hood, no. IBM, no. IWM, maybe. JCI. I think we could put JCI maybe as with the industrials. Yeah. Oh yes, I'll pull up market posture again for sure, Bob. Ooh, there's my favorite from financials. I've got another one lining up there. KKR. MasterCard is I'd put MasterCard as a maybe in the financial realm. Financials still look quite strong. McDonald's trying to make its comeback. Meta definitely in the list for me. Morgan Stanley still in the list. We've got a broad list in I feel like maybe technology and there's several areas. Microsoft doesn't look great. NDAQ looks good. The NASDAQ looks strong. Netflix, it's a little sideways. I like NVIDIA. I know I'm also going to like TSM. I'm just going to put it on the list. I like PLTR. Problem is it's reporting earnings. Otherwise, we'd be chomping at the bit for this thing. We'll see what it does. Anxious to see. I think those are some good technology leaders, though. NVIDIA, TSM, we've got chips doing well. That's what's holding up. Microsoft and Apple aren't holding up the NASDAQ. Chips are. SO, it's still a maybe for me after earnings, but I probably would like XLU better. SoFi needs to pull back. SPY doing its thing. Here comes Sandy's favorite Tesla. I'll put it on the list. Tesla going with yeah, Nick, sorry that you're still getting familiar to it just as we yank it out from underneath you, but I promise whatever familiarization you get here will translate because it is a similar layout and construct, but it'll be easier. So anyway, it won't be for waste. It'll help still. Tesla's a yes for me. Put it on the list. TSM is a yes for me. Put it on the list. TTD. I think you're too close to earnings at this point. The dollar has strength. That's going to put some pressure on the market. We'd like to see that come down a little bit. There's the VIX. There's Walmart. There's Walmart. Walmart looks strong. We put a trade on that. So there's still strength. There's just, for having new trades, yeah, there's just, you can see, going through our lists, there's only a couple of things where you're like, yeah, hold on to this. You can see holding that. If we get some movement, great. You have something. I've got still a little bit of hedge because, let's go through the sectors and then we'll talk about this week's trading plan section. Call it a day. Basic materials down a little bit. Communication services looks very strong. If you didn't want to trade Google or Meta, you could definitely trade XLC. It's a little bit cheaper. Still has good options. Let's put that on that list. Energy down. Couldn't even get back above the 50. Got beat down off of that. Financials still looks good. Industrial still looks okay. Not great. Okay. Kind of a big pullback, but still holding above the 50. Technology looks good. Got below the 50, but still higher low than this one. XLP, nothing there. Staples are ebbing. Utilities, ooh, I was thinking about it over here. Didn't quite get my signal, and then we got this. So I don't know. Maybe this is going to be corrective behavior for utilities. We'll see. Healthcare is already down, and consumer discretionary is looking better. Okay. Good. Next. Yeah, XLU. I could see that one. That one showed some signs of strength. That was a weird one. Let's talk about the plan real quickly before we call it a day. Trading plan outline. Not responding. Oh, come on. Just respond. Routines. It looks short. It is. It's a pretty easy piece of your plan. What do we need to define for routines? You need to define when. When is your window? When? Some people might only have one daily. I have 3. I have before market. I actually have 2 during market. I have a mid-morning and then I have last hour. And then I have after market close. That's how I break down I don't sit and stare at the market. If I'm day trading, which I will do if we get into a market where the VIX were like above 30, I would be like, yeah, swing trading is going to be hard as hell. And I'm going to do more day trading in this time if I can. And I'll open up like 3-hour windows in the morning for that. And possibly the last hour and a half of the day. But for now, this is what I do. So what am I going to say? All right. Before market open. For me, 6:45 to 7. 15 minutes. It's before we meet as a group, but I'm kind of going through the same thing. That's a pre-market routine that we do in those morning sessions, right? 15 minutes. When, how long, what, in order, right? That's what you should have. What do I do in order? I look at this, then I do this, then it's like a checklist. That's it. That's all we're working on. A checklist. So then you'll have one for weekly. Like today, what are we doing? We're doing our weekly routine. I'm going to do market posture. I'm going to make sure my trade log is updated. I'm going to look at my new numbers with my updated log and see if there's anything insightful in my analysis. I'm going to make sure my watch list is cleaned up. I'm going to make sure I have a short list going into next week. I'm going to make sure that my all my trades that I'm in have stops and targets and thought processes as to like what I will do if, right? I have some if-then statements, 3 or 4 of them for different directions for each of my trades starting at the beginning of next week. These are the things that we can just sit and do on a relaxing Sunday morning when the chimp is in the cage and the professor is unimpeded. Yeah? I thought I had real quickly, and again, where is the resources sample outline? So if you wanted to grab this, for now it's here. Sample trading plan outline. I'm going to hit yes. It's going to grab me a document. It'll be quicker and easier to download. There'll be a quick, easy download spot, and you can see them all very quickly. So much fun. Here is the sample trading plan outline where I have all of this fleshed out. So let's roll on down. Here's routines. Daily, before market open at 7 a.m. for 15 minutes. So what routine, at what time, for how long, and what am I going to do? What are my checklists? I'm going to look at the news. I'm going to look at the futures. I'm going to look at the economic calendar. I'm going to see if there's anything crazy moving. I'm going to make sure I have alerts for the day. I'm going to look at previous day's trades. I'm going to make sure that my short list, that's when I don't mean my big watch list, my short list. Prepare a trading plan. That's my what ifs. I don't mean like this is our plan. Prepare a trading plan for each open trade. Check the charts. I don't remember why I put that on there, but you could have that. This is like, yeah, you go through the list and when you're done, you're done. It's fast, it's quick, you make sure everything. What do I do at 10 a.m.? I do it again at market. I have 2 during market. Then I have an after market routine. Then I have a weekly routine. What do I do in the weekly routine? If you want to keep going, you could have a monthly, you could have a quarterly, etc., etc., etc. This is just creating and making sure that you habituate the best possible course of action. Every time you go in, you do it the right way, right? So, yeah. Okay. Questions, comments, concerns. Good day today. Good posture day. How's everybody feeling? Is that how you want it to feel? Those are our final wrap-up questions, like usual. Market posture sheet, Bob. Yes, sorry. And there is the final posture. I will, again, go try to get that updated, the watch list and the current posture. I'm working on a solution for that. We found a solution using poles to get our composite posture. That'll be very cool. I'm excited to include that. Anything else? Oh, volunteers and emails. Do you want to be a volunteer? I will send you an email tonight at some point. What I would ask you to do is then tomorrow spend some time logging on. And if you would, put your email here. I'm just going to come back to the chat to get it for today, just to make it easy for myself. So tonight I'm going to come back to this chat and find everybody who said sure. So everyone who says yes, put the email down, and I'm going to go in and send the invites, because that's going to let me practice. I've never sent an invite. This is my first time. I'm so excited. And then what I would ask you to do is go into Circle, accept the invite, and just make notes. Like, wow, that was easy. Or I didn't know what to do here. If there was any speed bumps is what I'm looking for. Or any insights that would make it easier. Now, keep in mind, there's going to be a welcome page. So the first time someone logs in, this probably won't be in place for you guys. The first time you come in, there'll be like a welcome page. There's going to be a welcome course where they can go through. That I'll be working on. That's not ready. But there'll be a welcome email. And in the welcome email, I can give very specific like Circle instructions that say, make sure you go here. Make sure you do this. So I'm going to definitely want you guys to help me with that. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 5 right there. That's beautiful. If anyone else wants to, put it on there. Otherwise, I mean, I definitely have what I need. So don't feel obligated, but that's super helpful and amazing that you guys are willing to help. I think I see Bob putting his email in, so I'm definitely going to include everyone who puts their email here. I'm not only going to have the first 5. So awesome. Thank you guys. I appreciate the extra time. It's great to see you guys this morning. I love Sunday mornings with you. I'm going to go refresh my coffee, and then I'm going to end up spending some time in Circle getting ready, because it's going to be a great new experience for us, make things so much easier. Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your day. See you tomorrow morning. As always, happy trading.